Who are you? She asked, flustered. You're in my bed and you're asking me this? He sneered. It was only then that Su Mianmian realized how tall he was. The sunlight in front of her was blocked, making her appear particularly small and weak. Tell me, who brought you here? The man looked at Su Mianmian coldly. What did you say? And why aren't you wearing any clothes? She was completely taken aback. Su Mianmian was frozen by his gaze. She pulled hard on the sheet, but accidentally rolled off the bed along with the sheet. Hua Ting mentally considered who might have done such a thing. He recently mentioned that he likes younger girls, but who would have thought that after getting half drunk at a business dinner last night, he would end up sending someone to his brothel so quickly. Ouch! That hurts. Hua Ting woke up in the morning, a bit grumpy. Now, seeing the girl in front of him, her hair covered most of her face. He couldn't see her features clearly, but he naturally assumed Su Mianmian was a girl being sold. Hua Ting's expression was very bad. He reached out and pinched Su Mianmian's chin, lifted her head, and said coldly. Listen carefully, whoever sent you, they have made a big mistake. Su Mianmian's chin was pinched painfully, and tears welled up in her eyes. She said, You streaking pervert! This is my face! Do you think it's a piece of pork that you can pinch whenever you want? Let go! She glared at him and reached out to push him away. However, she found that she couldn't hurt his at all. His strength was simply too great for her to contend with. She is the girl from the cake shop. Hua Ting recognized Su Mianmian after seeing her face clearly. The cake shop thought the girl was very innocent, but little did they know. He gave a cold laugh, released her, and felt inexplicably even more annoyed. When she got up from under the bed, she saw the man's bare upper body and 8-pack abs. She has a really great figure. Su Mianmian quickly moved her chin and found that although it hurt a lot, the bone did not seem to be broken. Then, she felt angry. Su Mianmian couldn't help but feel afraid. She said, Who are you? How did you suddenly appear here? Humph, you've slept with me, and you don't even know who I am? Hua Ting mocked her. All I know is that you're a streaking pervert with 8-pack abs. Su Mianmian opened her mouth and said, I really don't know why you're sleeping in my bed. I definitely slept with Dong Dong last night. By the way, where's Dong Dong? She looked around but couldn't find Dong Dong anywhere. Dong Dong? Hua Ting frowned. He gestured for her to continue. Su Mianmian seemed to have grasped the key to the problem at this moment. She thought about it slowly and replied. I'm Dong Dong's friend. I came over yesterday to visit, but last night I had some things to take care of, so I didn't go home and stayed here instead. After hearing Su Mianmian's words, Hua Ting quickly stood up. Su Mianmian opened her eyes wide and watched him walk to the door with a dark face, then suddenly yanked the door open. Then, she exclaimed. Dong Dong! Dong Dong rolled in like a ball from outside the door. Su Mianmian watched in shock as Dong Dong rolled in like a ball. But no matter how fast he runs, a child will still lose to an adult's pace. Dong Dong thought about it for a moment and realized that his father seemed really angry. He raised his innocent big eyes and said with a smile, Daddy, you're back. Dong Dong missed you so much. Su Mianmian overheard their conversation and realized that the fierce-looking man was Dong Dong's father. Dong Dong's father was indeed as scary as Dong Dong described. People who don't know him might think he's an assassin. Hua Ting looked at him coldly and said, Explain to me why there's a woman in my room. Daddy has been away on a business trip for too long this time. I miss Daddy so much that I couldn't help but sleep in Daddy's bed. Mimi is my good friend. She doesn't know anything. Daddy, please don't be angry with her. Blame me instead. After hearing Dong Dong's words, Hua Ting's anger did not subside. Instead, his expression worsened. He gritted his teeth and said, Hua Chen Dong. I'm giving you one last chance. Tell me the truth. I'm just telling the truth. He then blinked innocently. Dong Dong hadn't finished speaking when she saw herself being lifted up by Hua Ting like a chick. This move is so familiar. As he shouted, Hua Ting's large hand landed heavily on his buttocks. Hua Ting, you've broken my heart. I was trying to help you. And you still spanked me. If you keep going like this, you'll never get a wife. No woman likes a domineering, unreasonable man who spanks people at the drop of a hat. Dong Dong cried, her face covered in tears and snot. He kindly helped his dad, but he still got beaten up. Is there any child as pitiful as him? Hu Ting stopped after spanking Hu Chendong 10 times, but now that he heard what Hu Chendong said, his hands started itching again. He picked Hu Chendong up, intending to beat him again, when Su Mianmian realized what was happening and rushed over to stop him. You cannot use violence against children. Hu Ting was taken aback when she suddenly rushed up to him. When Su Mianmian saw that Dongdong's face was covered in tears and snot, and his little face was flushed red, like a wronged animal, she immediately felt sad. Mimi, help me! Dongdong said loudly, seemingly unafraid of death. Dongdong was a clever child. After seeing Hu Ting pause for a moment, he immediately brought his face close to Su Mianmian so that she could see how pitiful he looked. Why can't we talk things out properly? Why do you resort to violence against children all the time? You know, children who grow up in a violent environment tend to be very introverted. Introverted? Do you think he is? Hu Ting couldn't help but sneer upon hearing this. And what business is it of yours how I discipline my own child? Hu Ting asked in an icy tone. Su Mianmian was stunned for a moment. Mimi is my good friend. My business is her business. If you hit me, you are hitting her. This is what they mean by hitting me hurts her. This. What kind of nonsense is this? Seeing him like this, Hu Ting felt an urge to beat him up again. What kind of nonsense do you usually read? Where did you learn that? Hu Ting's face darkened, and he said coldly. I'm cutting off your internet in a bit. No, Daddy. The finale of The Cold CEO's Spicy Little Wife is tonight. I want to watch it live online. Dongdong rushed up and hugged Hu Ting's leg. The Cold CEO's Spicy Little Wife. What on earth is this? Hu Ting cruelly pushed Dongdong's head away, coldly watching him roll on the ground, and said. It's decided then. Seeing Dongdong's mournful face, he finally felt a little better. Heartbroken, Dongdong wiped his tears, and said. Daddy, I know I was wrong. From now on, whatever you say goes. Dongdong said pitifully. Seeing how pitifully Dongdong was crying, Su Mianmian said. Ahem. Mr. Hua. Dongdong is so pitiful. How about Dongdong come online at a fixed time every day from now on? Hu Ting was already immune to Dongdong's cuteness. But it's different when Su Mianmian is included. He had originally planned to settle accounts with him properly, but then he saw Su Mianmian looking at him with expectant eyes full of hearts. I don't know why, but my heart suddenly softened. Su Mianmian is just the perfect match for his aesthetic. He has always been powerless against this kind of appearance. I'll let you off this time. Hu Ting said expressionlessly. If you act on your own again next time, I'll cut off your internet. After the little incident in the morning, Su Mianmian had breakfast and then said, goodbye, to Dongdong. Mimi, I'm so reluctant to leave you, can you please not go? Be good, I'll come see you again next time. Dongdong stood at the door holding Xiaohua, waving her little handkerchief with great reluctance. After Su Mianmian left, Dongdong said with a touch of sadness. Dad, really? I created such a great opportunity and you didn't even cherish it. I've seen it in TV dramas, shouldn't they be pushing things over at times like this? Why didn't you do anything? Dongdong thought for a moment and said. Sigh, do you think Daddy is impotent? It's been so many years, and I haven't seen him see anyone. Do I have a cold? Maybe because I wasn't warm enough this morning. Hu Ting put down the documents that Chen Su, Hu Ting's special assistant, brought him. Su Mianmian's technique for running away from home is too immature. When she returned to the cake shop in the morning, she saw Su Wei's and Bai Meifeng waiting for her. The boss, dressed in pajamas, was standing next to them, constantly yawning. It wasn't long before Bai Meifeng spotted Su Mianmian. Su Mianmian's heart sank. Before she could say a word, Su Wei's walked up and slapped her across the face. The loud slap woke the boss up completely. Su Mianmian looked up and saw Su Wei's face darken. He said to her, come back with me right now. Without waiting for her reaction, he got back into the car. The boss immediately stepped forward but Bai Meifeng blocked Su Mianmian behind him and said this is our family matter. After that, they left the cake shop. After returning home, Su Mianmian continued to be confined at home. To prevent any further complications, they even shut down her internet connection. After remaining silent for 2 days, Su Mianmian decided to cause a big scene at the wedding. Just kidding. She's never been a saint. She's been sold out. Does she expect her to obediently count the money? Since Su Wei's was heartless towards her, he shouldn't blame her for being ungrateful. That day, Su Feifei came up early in the morning and kicked open Su Mianmian's door, shouting impatiently. Su Mianmian, you come out here right now. My mom called you downstairs. No, I'm not going, have your mom come up here and talk to me. Su Mianmian lay on the bed, too lazy to move at all. You don't want to go, then don't go, it's not like we wanted you to go. Originally, the wedding was supposed to be a simple meal, but the Hu family suddenly said no and wanted to have a big celebration. Su Feifei said irritably. She's still urging me to take you to try on wedding dresses. Anna's wedding dresses are priceless. Su Feifei kept talking in her ear, but Su Mianmian stopped listening. A big celebration? Su Mianmian sat up abruptly. Although she didn't know why the Hu family had suddenly changed their minds, the current progress was in her favor. The more people, the better. She wants to express her true feelings in front of everyone. She refuses to get married. Su Mianmian was taken to Anna's bridal shop. It's so beautiful, the rhinestones on the hem of this wedding dress were sewn on one by Australian workers over 3 months, the effect is just different. Yes, Miss Su, Mr. Hu really loves you so much, you are the happiest bride. She stood in front of the mirror, watching the staff alter the size of her wedding dress. The Hu family truly lives up to their reputation as wealthy families in S City. The entire bridal shop was booked out, with only Su Mianmian as their sole customer. Happiness. Su Mianmian looked at herself in the mirror and realized that she was indeed very beautiful. Her face was as delicate as a porcelain doll, and her clothes were luxurious and dazzling. But why does she feel like crying? She had considered wearing a wedding dress. She wants to marry the person she loves, even though that person hasn't appeared yet after all these years. But she thought she could wait for him eventually. Instead of having to marry someone I've never even met, as I do now. Oh my god. Miss Su, you can't cry. If you cry, your makeup will be ruined before the photos are even taken, the makeup artist screamed. The bride is crying tears of joy, it's a good thing, the proprietress said, quite eloquently. Su Mianmian doesn't look like someone who's crying tears of joy at all. I want to go out for a walk. Su Mianmian said, her voice choked with emotion. Miss Su, let me take you to the garden. No need. I want to be alone for a while. Su Mianmian refused everyone's company. There were just too many staff members here, and Su Mianmian was distracted. Su Mianmian sat down on the stone steps in front of the bridal shop, completely disregarding the expensive wedding dress she was wearing and how many diamonds would fall off if she sat down like that. Perhaps because the area was being cleared out, there wasn't a single outsider here. Su Mianmian hugged her knees and could no longer hold back her sobs. Her voice was like that of a wounded little animal, whimpering pitifully. Weak. At a loss. If her mother were here, she definitely wouldn't let her do this. Mom. I miss you so much. I don't want to marry an old man. I don't want to marry someone I've never even met. I'm so scared, I'm really terrified. Is there anyone who can save her? If someone appeared in front of her, they could take her away from this suffocating place. She was willing to do anything for him. Mimi, what's wrong? Su Mianmian looked up and saw Dongdong's figure through her teary eyes. What are you doing here? Dongdong tilted his head and looked at Su Mianmian, saying worriedly. Who bullied you? Su Mianmian's defenses crumbled instantly, and she choked out. I want to leave here. I see, then I'll take you away. Dongdong stood up, a few steps higher than Su Mianmian, and looked her in the eye. He gave her a very gentlemanly bow, and said brightly. Dear Miss Mimi, would you be willing to have a spontaneous date with a gentleman? Su Mianmian was amused by him and burst into laughter through her tears. She said. I do. Let's go. By the time everyone realized something was wrong and rushed out the door, the two had already run far away. The proprietress looked at Mary with great difficulty. Miss Mary, what should we do? The afternoon's photo shoot is scheduled. The bride has disappeared. Mary is Hu Ting's chief secretary, and today she is accompanying Su Mianmian to try on her wedding dress. There were just too many staff members here, so she didn't notice her at all. How could she know what to do? Mary looked very unwell. She was thinking about how to subtly tell the boss that his son had run off with his wife. Su Mianmian was wearing a wedding dress, which made running very inconvenient. Dongdong thought for a moment and said. Mimi, we're too conspicuous like this, let's go to the store and buy some clothes. Su Mianmian nodded. Right now, she was completely at a loss and relied heavily on Dongdong. The two found a clothing store nearby. After Dong Dong went inside, he took out a black card from his pocket and said to the shop assistant in a very cool way. "Beauty, give me 2 matching outfits, swipe my card." When the shop assistant saw a young woman in a wedding dress and a very handsome young boy come in, they thought they were filming a movie. Hearing the boy say he wanted to buy clothes, she paused for a moment, looked at the two of them, and asked, "I wonder what style you two like." Dong Dong thought for a moment and said, "We need to wear the same thing. Since they're eloping today, of course they should wear matching outfits." After Su Mianmian changed her clothes, she came out and saw Dong Dong standing at the door, wearing the same style of clothes as her. Dong Dong stood up, pointed to the cute lion pattern on the hoodie. Seeing Su Mianmian smile, Dong Dong said, "Let's go on a date." Su Mianmian couldn't help but laugh and said, "Let's go." The shop assistant was trembling with fear, stammering. They each bought a set of clothes and shoes, and then they left. I heard them say they were going to elope. An hour later, Hua Ting, with a dark expression, looked at the wedding dress that Su Mianmian had changed out of. The moment the words elope were uttered, the black-clad bodyguards standing next to Hua Ting all looked up at her, which once again terrified the shop assistant so much that he almost wet himself. "Boss, we've found it," the young master swiped his card at Chongtai First Amusement Park. Hua Ting said coldly, "Let's go." Mary nodded, wearing 12-centimeter high heels, and followed behind Hua Ting, thinking that she would probably see the young master get a spanking soon. The young master is really bold, he even dared to abduct his father's bride.